Just, so, that would be, okay. Okay. No worries.
It is 6 p.m. We'll all stand and face the flag. We'll open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the agenda? One thing that wouldn't necessarily be an addition, well, maybe it would be called an addition under 10F. Would that be an addition if we were going to?
I just asked that I don't really need to add it. I would just ask that we move into executive session to discuss if we feel we need it.
So a point that was made earlier by our legal counsel is that when we start the motion to approve the Cokes, oh no, it's not F.
10F. Yep, that's the one.
Oh,
10F.
Chesterman's Community Center, Coke sponsorship. That's right. If necessary, we could go into executive session at that time. It depends on how you folks feel. So I don't think it needs to be modified as far as an agenda goes. But I would need an approval of the agenda by motion and second.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as written. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5 yes. And now we'll move on to public input.
I have public input. One, I'm still looking for the pig ordinance. I'd like to point out that there is a crosswalk sign approximately at the juncture of Lincoln and Jefferson, but there's no painting on the street. The kids, we should probably keep them within bounds of a crosswalk. Probably should get that done. Redistricting coming up. I spoke to Mr. Commissioner Joffer. I agree with him. I don't think we want to change anything because it looks like the wealth is being redistricted out of Union County. And I don't think we want to go that route unless we want to be standing there holding the bag. We need to get, Mayor Hader has been taking a video. Probably should be a good idea to put that up on the website. And there's parts of the website that have not been updated, should be happening. One thing about water costs, and I've done some research and I've spoken to a couple people, and there is a cap. If you have a rural development loan or whatever, they put a cap on that to how much you could raise, how much each city could raise the water fees. And it's allocated to the size of the city. I'm not sure where to find that, but I do know about it. I've spoken to a couple people about it. So you really, before you start jacking the prices up on the water prices, you better check into that because you can only, I think it was like maybe no more than 1% or even a percentage of 1%. You better be taking care of that. Regarding freedom of information, the public's privilege or demand to know is never, ever wasting time. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. So that's everything, and I think that's everything that I have.
Is there any other public input? Yes.
This will probably come out in the meeting, but I'm very interested, I would not want to leave tonight without hearing the current date of expectation of having the ACC turned over to the city. The date of when it's finished.
Right.
Okay. I don't need it this minute, but hopefully you'll would hear it in the course of the evening.
Is there any other public, is that it, Gordon?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other public input? All right, hearing none, we will move on to alderman interviews if needed. Doesn't appear as if there's Ward 2 alderman present or alderman candidate present. So then we will move on to number 6, legal updates. Sam Nelson.
Well, the issues with 307 Iowa are moving. I'm not sure in what direction at this point. We've had building permit get issued after some negotiation with the property owner's attorney. Our code enforcement inspector has inspected the construction of the porch, has provided us with some things that need to be fixed. I've also requested from Mr. Fillingsness, I don't know that this is the correct term for it, but this is what Mr. Clausen's attorney called it, a punch list of major things that he should probably take care of before he takes care of little things or cosmetic items. So that has been provided by Mr. Fillingsness. I have not yet forwarded it to Mr. Clausen's attorney, but will do so this week, and along with the results of the inspection that was done pursuant to the building permit that we've issued for the porch. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, we have not received payment for that building permit yet, so I'll be speaking with Mr. Clausen's attorney on that as well. As you all know, Mr. Clausen works out of town for fairly lengthy periods, and so we worked with his attorney to get the building permit issued through his attorney and held by his attorney so that he can move forward, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of this week. That's all I have with respect to the property issue at that address, Mayor.
All right. Do you have any questions or concerns or? Thank you. In that case, we'll move on to number 7, redistricting of District 16. This was discussed a little bit last meeting, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at all of the maps that were emailed out, but the district map that is on this page right here doesn't look exactly the same as the District 16, right, map that's in that bigger map of the whole state and the way it's drawn up. It goes a little bit further north, actually up right to the edge of Minnehaha County in one area, and it goes a little bit further north on what I would call the east portion as well. So I don't think that picture is a good picture of the district.
These came,
Or maybe the other one isn't a good picture. Maybe the other one, you know, the entire state that was broken down into all the different districts, it looks different than that.
these came from the legislative audit website. I was told that there were quite a few options discussed on the splitting up of the district, so, but those are the only 2 maps I found on the district, or on the legislative website.
Okay. Well, anyway,
The top one isn't the district we have now?
It is.
it's supposed to be.
Okay.
My issue is that when you do look at that state map, the entire state map, that kind of peach color, it's differently shaped at the north portion. there's more real estate involved than this map shows. So, probably not a big deal because they are talking about changing the bottom portion, so. I know that I've heard more than one opinion, and we've heard one opinion just during public input, that there's no reason to change anything. Leave it the way it is.
Well, they have to justify the population, don't they? So that every district has about 25,000 residents.
Yes.
So is there 8,000, going to be 8,000 residents from Highway 46 north? Probably.
I think you're gaining that by adding the million on the proposed, is that what you're talking?
Are you talking about our district that's left over?
Well, it says Union County has 17,000 residents. And we need, for the district, the voting district has to get to 25,000. So someplace, we need to pick up 8,000 more people to make it equal with other legislative districts. But
I'm guessing that's probably the Canton,
from Highway 11 up through Canton,
that's probably your 8,000 that you're gaining, or that you existingly have.
and from what I read on the other side of the page, the Union County Commission wants to keep it Union County as a whole voting unit and then attach a portion of Lincoln County to it.
Which is what the top map
Yeah.
is showing.
Hopefully, yeah. I guess I'd be in favor of that. But I can.
Anything to say about
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, we don't get to vote on it, do we?
Well, the discussion on the table is if you don't want to see it changed, then we would draft a resolution
Okay.
saying that we would like to keep it as it is as well. And that is just that just is a guide for what the county passed.
Okay, thank you.
showing some solidarity. What does everybody think? Do you have opinions? Have you thought about this much over the last 2 weeks?
I think we should leave it.
Do you want a resolution drafted expressing that?
That's
Okay.
what they want.
Sam, will you draft that?
Do we need a motion
If that is the case
Oh,
for
really?
him, yep, we would need a motion to do just that.
to? I'll make a motion that our attorney draft a resolution supporting the Union County as a whole voting unit attached to portions of Lincoln County.
I'll second it.
This is a resolution, not an ordinance.
Yep, resolution.
Okay, I think I got it. Motion has been made and seconded to allow the Alcester attorney to draft a resolution leaving Union County as a whole district together with a portion of Lincoln County. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5 ayes. Number 8 is chairperson updates if needed.
Street, everybody should have gotten these. Lonnie asked me to bring this up, that he would like to go up next week to Minnesota to look at these if we, okay, he said it is in the budget for next year, correct?
Yep.
And he was showing me how bad ours is. You can see through the floor in places.
Yeah, they won't put it in the box anymore.
So. And this is an auction, correct? This
Yep.
is the way I understood it.
Yep, it's on Purple Wave.
I mean,
And Lonnie got word that these were going on and felt these would be a good fit for what our need is. He's done a lot of research and looked at the sales results of trucks. A lot of them have that Cat engine, and those seem to go higher in price just because of the Cat engine. But the Mack would also service our needs just fine. The Cat engine probably has a 750,000 mile life. I don't know if you agree.
Yep.
And the Mack engine, maybe not as much, but, you know, it only has 145,000 on it now, whereas the Sterling has 80,000. So,
I think anybody that knows anything about trucks has heard about Mack trucks, but I don't recognize Sterling as a name.
Oh, it's very popular.
Are they a subsidy of international,
Oh, that would explain it, okay.
or didn't they?
Definitely the Cat engine's the better way to go in the long run. Longevity, that's what I run in one of my semis in.
I like the 80,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
There's a lot, you know, there's a lot of difference in the money though, too.
the one thing about the Mack has a side blade.
Yep.
And I said to Lonnie, I said, are you thinking we're just gonna take that off? And Dale would like to try it, and he figures the side blade would work well in the east part of town. And possibly downtown if we have a lot of snow.
You know, the side blade is gonna save the city money, no doubt. You know, you're gonna make less passes up and down every street. You can go off to the one side of the street, you know, even on the west side of town, put the wing down, and, you know, probably one pass would do a lot. You know, if you're in a big hurry or you just want to clean streets quick,
Right.
just run that wing and you move a lot of snow.
So that's a bonus on that.
Yep.
But I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at all the pictures. I wasn't going to print all them out, but they are on, it is on Purple Wave if you do want to look at it in more detail.
And I think they both have two-way blades up front, so you don't matter what direction you're going, you can throw the snow either way you want to go, versus I think the current plow is just a one-way blade.
The Mack has nicer tires. I don't think we need to replace the tires for a while, but the Sterling, there's some wear on some of those tires. Now Lonnie did think those tires are probably the same size as our current truck that we have, so maybe we can take off the good tires on that and put it on this truck. So,
He did say he was gonna take off from this truck because he doesn't think these have it, the back part that scatters
the sander.
the sand.
Yeah.
He did tell me that.
The Mack is 3 years newer. Obviously, it's got more miles on it. We don't see the hours listed, at least I don't, on the Sterling, but with only 79,000 miles, I mean, it can't be as many hours.
Does it have 1028 as the end of the auction then?
Yes.
So
So if you guys are in favor of that, Lonnie, I think, would go up this week yet to go look at it, so that he would know a little bit more firsthand at either one of these units.
So they're both in the same location?
Yep, same town. Some of the other ones he's looked at have been in Kansas, so it's a little bit farther away. He was excited to have these closer by.
I think it'd be good to have him look at them.
I don't think we should look at anything much newer either. I think we'll get into too many emissions, and that's going to be very costly. So these older trucks, find something with lower miles would probably be a good option.
On the Mac, they talk about a conveyor, 2-foot conveyor,
It's got a chain, yeah, in the bed, which Lonnie was very excited about.
and I don't see that. I mean,
The
it's not.
Sterling doesn't have it.
Yeah,
Um,
that obviously would make it easier to spread sand,
Or
salt,
asphalt.
whatever, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely positives on the MAC for that reason. If we were gonna be hauling big root balls, stumps, that kind of stuff, probably not a benefit for the chain. But he's gonna use Old Red for all that heavy duty old stuff until that one dies.
Well, it does make sense for him to go and look, that's for sure.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
You can ask a
I-
question.
Is that for a snow removal truck?
Snow removal and dump truck.
Okay, okay. Is there a minimum that you've allowed, Lonnie?
Not a minimum,
The
a
budget.
maximum.
Budget
Or, I'm sorry, a maximum? Okay, thank you.
And they both have the belly mount plow blade, I should say, on them too, so if you get a hard packed snow or ice, you know, they work really good for scraping it off the street.
And I
That'll be
suppose-
new to us, we've never had that.
You don't have to run a road grader, you know,
Yeah, that is kind of nice. Yeah.
so to eliminate that cost of renting Regans, I guess.
And we don't do that much anymore. It's been a few years since we've even used Regan for that.
Any other discussion aside from, I mean, does everybody agree that he should go and?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Any other street input? I think it is wise to at least mention that this Friday will be, I think it will be the first, maybe it isn't the first, and maybe I'm unaware of it, but there will be a review of an employee done. And we've heard from a number of employees, it will be the first time they've ever been reviewed. And some of those employees have been here a long time. So I think we are heading the right direction, so that's gonna happen on Friday. it
And we're
happens-
gonna do one tomorrow night too.
Oh, so that's
Cindy and
even-
I are.
That's even better. That's good. I appreciate that. That's vitally important to all the employees and to really the city as a whole. So. Okay, we'll move on to the cemetery.
I walked through the other day, it really looks good.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did a nice job up
Yes. So, on the cemetery though, for as far as, because he was just hired, correct?
Right.
So he won't get reviewed until next year.
Probably. The only thing I would say, it might not be a bad idea just to sit down with him for a few minutes and say, so you know what your duties are. Do they make sense to you? Especially now that you've had an opportunity to do this for a little while. You know, it's not necessarily a salary review. What it is just a review.
Okay.
Kind of a dialogue, to be able to open up enough conversation to be able to say, we at least know
Right.
maybe some more about what's going on.
Okay. I will set that in motion.
Okay, then we will move on to water/wastewater.
Well, I talked to Dale, was it a week ago, I believe? Yeah. And we had some toxins in our wastewater. And what did we find out was you,
So once a year, we have to do this test where we send in, it's a little bit more detailed test of our water that we dispose out into the creek. And this particular test, the water flea was alive, but it wasn't able to reproduce. And so they made us take another test. So Dale got that stuff ready, and that will be either sent, did it get out today?
Yes.
Okay, so the coolers went out today. They'll retest to see if the flea can reproduce. If we come back, if this one comes back fine, then we're good to go for another year. We won't have to test till next September. If it does not, if you don't pass, we will have to do this test once a month for 6 months. So I hope that it passes. I hope it was just an anomaly, but yeah. And Dale talked to the gentleman at the state, and the likely cause of the flea not being able to produce could be due to pesticides. So it might be something that's
External to,
correct.
So is it good that the flea doesn't reproduce?
Well, you would think so, but the DANR does not see it that way.
it's a measurement of how natural the resource is.
Okay, so this is DNR fleas, or?
It must be
Yeah, so we need the flea to reproduce.
their favorite flea. I don't know. I think it's just a living.
Maybe you just had a headache.
Well, hopefully we'll have all kinds of water fleas next time. So. If there's no other water, wastewater, has there been any touching of base regarding the wastewater project or nothing new?
Banner is doing this behind the scenes stuff. I will have an invoice that we'll need to pay at the end of the month with a little bit more detailed work of what they've done, but nothing else that I know of as of right now.
Well, it will be nice to see kind of where we are on the timeline as a result of that. Okay. Then we will move on to the police report. We got a book here.
I suppose the whole book isn't, it's not pertaining to updates completely. The first 2 pages are. The next,
the rest of it is,
God knows how many pages are for the next item. We had a couple significant events go on. We did have a suspected fentanyl overdose in town. We are provided Narcan through the state, and we were able to reverse the overdose, and just concerning. You know, we learned a few things through DCI about this fentanyl that's coming in within the state. You usually don't see it, but it has made it here, I think, 2-3 times in the past year.
Are you seeing any of that stuff laced with marijuana or methamphetamine or other stuff, or is it strictly?
I believe one time before, it's as simple as dipping your cigarette in it and you can overdose. This last one was a counterfeit pill, which, I mean, it's literally, fentanyl is not as deadly as carfentanil, which fentanyl I think is 1,000 times more powerful than morphine, and then carfentanil is 10,000 times more powerful than morphine. Carfentanil, 3 grains of salt worth, can kill a adult human being. So it's very concerning, and going through and being able to find what I did find, and not being exposed is definitely being lucky in itself. So I do carry 2 extra doses of Narcan in case an officer gets
So all you gotta do is touch it, right?
Yep.
I mean, you
our
don't even have to ingest it.
Our gloves that we get, our surgical gloves, are only rated for 7 minutes of exposure. So within 7 minutes, they'll even leach through latex gloves. So,
Sounds like a good way to kill off your customers.
Yeah.
I guess they don't need repeat business. Well, regarding the Narcan, I mean, I think that's something that everyone should be aware of too, that our officers in Alcester have saved a number of lives with that product. And it's a good thing that they've got it, we'll put it that way. Because, I mean, well, as Sam mentioned, you know, they could lace marijuana with, in fact, I think I just read something not that long ago that that's the new thing now. You end up getting fentanyl with this, whether it's smoking marijuana or whether it's edibles, I don't know what it is for sure, but I can't imagine somebody that's got a medical need for marijuana and they take it and then they end up with a fentanyl overdose. You know, how cruel is that? That's about as bad as it gets. Might as well just give them anthrax, you know? I mean, it's just not right. How, I did see that I signed a check today for, there you go. Officer Lass, that's it. How's he doing? How are things?
he's doing good. I think the week before Sunday, I had him by himself on Sunday just to have a normal, slower day, I guess. And then Saturday in itself, he was completely by himself, starting to get him on his own slowly. He's doing well. He did have a significant event on Saturday. Actually, I think two. One was a pretty severe traffic accident. I think a good learning experience, and then also he had somebody run from him later in the night in a vehicle, and within his decision making, he decided to terminate within a half mile, which I gave him a good job, and you know that's very smart decision making. So far I think he's being articulate and being able to think his decisions through, and he's learning good. So
Showing good judgment.
yep.
That's encouraging. Good.
Do you know when he's going to LMT?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, I know we're going to circle back to you in a bit. Did you have anything else you'd like to report at this time?
I don't think so. I think, I gave you guys a big packet, which it includes, I think, through from June, but we can, speak to that, I think, on the next agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. How about the library department?
The Wednesday, the door opener work is going to begin. So that's installing the handicapped accessible button for the door. It'll be powered open. I don't know if it's going to take more than one day, but that's scheduled for Wednesday.
Well, that's good news, huh? Not to detract from any of the other reports, but you mentioned door opener, and that just reminded me about the door. The back door at the Alcester bar has been replaced, and it is a sturdy
Good.
door.
It is beautiful.
It's made,
Did he look at the front door too then?
I don't know the
I'm
answer.
working on the front door.
Oh, that's right, you said you.
It needs a new striker plate.
Oh, okay.
So I got to drill a 3/4 inch hole in the stainless steel piece of stuff. And I'll get out and get the test.
Good.
Well, when gonna take a bigger pickup to get it pulled off the main
That big T-bar or H-bar or whatever, it's figure 8 bar that goes on the back door. I walked in there to ask him whether the door was being worked on or, because I knew it was supposed to be. And I walked in and I hear bang, 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 and I walked in the back and he was working on that, trying to get that to fit just right. And they wanted that installed, even though they've got the new door. And I agreed, that was a good call. I mean, that's very sturdy. It's gonna make a lot of noise. If somebody gets through that thing, I'm assuming Chief Sculler will hear it from home in the basement with the radio on, so,
Good.
yeah, I'm sorry. Then, did you have anything else for the library, Dave?
No, it's
If that's not the case, then we'll go on to the golf course.
to say it's slow out there would be a pretty big understatement.
Football is in full swing, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Place is looking good, but we just don't have very many people out golfing right now. Maybe they're waiting for the new clubhouse to get full.
Right? I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about the new clubhouse, et cetera, in a bit. But right now, we will go on to the finance office.
Don't have too much for our office, our life, as community center, every day, all day.
I wonder if that's going to decrease a bunch or just a little?
I just want to get the project, the things we're dealing with is construction things,
Right.
it's questions, it's ordering product, it's, yeah.
Did they do the carpet today?
It is looking very pretty.
It does look nice. I went up there today and
I was up there about 2 o'clock and they had started on the carpeting. They were caulking around some things in the ceiling and the walls.
so did they think it'll be done?
They will be done by Sunday.
That's the main thing at this point, right?
Yep.
Anything else that you can think of?
No,
No?
sir.
All right, then we will move on to item number 9, on-call pay. And
Oh, there he's there.
the
I figured I
chief
might need
did
to talk, so.
allow us this page 11 of 19
Through 19.
through 19 of 19.
So, what I did for you guys, I tried to document every single time that I've been called in, which generated the number within the county. That's why this report is kind of long, because I kind of wanted to show you guys. I went ahead, the back one, I printed off from June 7th to, looks like September 29th. I was called in and documented 48 times, which generated a number. I guess, you know, since then, like last week, I was called in 6 times alone. I guess I just wanted to provide you guys the evidence, and, you know, 48 times may not seem like a lot, but a lot of the times that's, you know, me trying to eat supper, trying to at least have a movie night or cook supper. I'm getting, you know, called in, and part of that is I want to provide a 24-hour service to our community. I think last time we talked, I gave you guys the hypothetical, which truly isn't a hypothetical of, you know, what if I just so happen to want to just go out on a movie night, go to Sioux Falls, and we have a active burglary in progress where people are hiding within a bathroom. And I think, I don't remember the last time I talked about that, but I did talk to Linda and Cindy, and it was like the next week I literally had that situation. You know, 3 people hiding in a bedroom. They believed somebody was in their house. They heard walking. They heard, you know, a door. Instead of a 40-minute response time where they're hiding in their bedroom and, just could frankly lose their life within that time. It was 3 or 4 minutes, I responded, so
So can I ask a question on the fentanyl
yes,
call? Was that an on-call?
that was on call. And
So if you had not been here on call,
I
this
believe,
person probably would have died.
I believe they probably would have been dead within 5 minutes. That was directed by the AD to perform CPR, there was no breaths. I delivered 2 doses of Narcan, the ambulance got there, 7, 8 minutes later, I believe. We gave another dose of Narcan. There's some significant calls that I'm proud that I'm able to respond that quickly and provide that service, which I hope Grayson feels the same way. 2 of us providing 24 hours is kind of daunting, but it's not so bad when it's 2 people. But, since June 7th, I've been trying to
And
do
hopefully
it. So
Grayson will be, he takes possession this week.
I believe the 22nd, so,
So hopefully, soon he will be relocating and then,
yep. And then he can also provide this service. I guess that's why, we got the long list. I just wanted to at least, let you guys be aware. I also went through my cell phone and seen every time the county called me, which I believe was 57 times. So not everything does generate a report. Usually when they generate reports is when I actually have to go out of the house and, something can't be handled over a phone call. It's not just a dog at large type of call.
Austin, everything on this highlighted is a time when you were on call and had to go out,
Yes,
physically respond to something.
yes.
And none of those are any of those assists to the county? Because you're the closest guy?
I think it's been pretty rare where I get called out, like that. Usually they only ask if I'm on duty unless it's a pretty significant event, which I don't believe with it since June that I can recall that there's been at least a significant event where that happened.
So every time that's highlighted, you went out when you were on call but off,
Yeah.
not actively working?
Yeah, and then like I said, there's more phone calls from the county, it's probably, that was 2 weeks ago, it was 57 times, so, there's some times where I just call somebody and, talk to them, if it's not something where I need to be called out about it, it can be handled the next day.
So when you're talking about that, if you can help me understand that a little bit, county will get a call through dispatch and it'll be, I don't know, somebody calling with what kind of stuff are you fielding when you're on the phone?
It could be just, asking questions or setting up, like a fingerprint appointment or, a follow-up or just, some people just have general questions, I guess,
So it's a non-emergency?
Yep, if there's something emergent or there's other stuff like that, of course, I'm, suiting up, going out. So,
Well, and I'm asking because I'm curious and I don't know.
yeah.
Like, are you getting a phone call at 9 at night with somebody being like, hey, can I have a 10-foot tall by 25-foot wide bonfire in the middle of the street in front of my house? And you're saying, no, you can't. I mean, and I use that example somewhat in jest, but like, if you're getting a phone call about that at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, there have been, people trying to get phone back, their phone back from, say, like a drug case, see if there's evidence, and that person decided to call, I think, 9 o'clock at night, midnight, something like that. So it does happen.
And why is the county putting that through you on your phone? I mean, I guess I don't understand why they're.
They call me directly, like
Okay.
a dispatcher, and then they say, this person would like a call back.
Okay.
We do have an app, which is law enforcement only, through our cell phones, which you know, we use that as a cell phone, but at least they're not, you know, calling our cell phones later on to try to get back to us. If they do call that number back, it gives them 2 prompts. One is requested a call back, so it'll show a notification, otherwise you can click 0 and it forwards to dispatch.
Okay. All right, I guess what I'm kind of trying to get at and understand is, if it's 9:30 at night, someone's calling about something like getting their phone back, I just don't understand why dispatch isn't saying, call them tomorrow at 8.
Yeah, but I still get them calls.
Yeah, I just,
But it would make sense.
Yeah.
yeah, because I get that, but I also, and maybe I'm missing something, but I just feel like the county should know this is emergent or this is,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you for explaining that to me. Sorry to take up all that time.
No, that's fine. Just the other part of this is on-call pay. You know, I spoke directly when I came on that, I guess, you know, on-call, the time I would be compensated for. Are there any questions about that, or?
So the $13.50, that is unpaid on call,
Yep.
right?
I went through every single week since that time. I've taken 2 weekends off from the county, which were 3 full days. This past week, I also factored in Grayson work Saturday. The county took 2 hours before I came back home from Sioux Falls. I think it was a total of 2,000 some hours, excluding my trip to Las Vegas as well. And then I factored in our on-call policy is, our salary is for 44 hours for each officer. I think it's approximately $1.36 an hour, is what we get compensated for per week. So like I said, it was like 2,000 some hours. I was paid for 702 before this past 2 weeks, which I also compensated for. So I'm not inflating numbers, that's why it's like I took those 2 weeks off, not 2 weeks, yeah. Vegas off, 2 weekends off. Saturday, I was actually in Sioux Falls. Grayson worked 8.17 hours, and then the county took 2 hours until I came home.
When they're doing that 2 hours, are they someplace in the vicinity?
No, it's just, they're doing their general duties, and if they get an emergent call for Alcester, they're responding. If it's a general investigation or something like that, they might handle it, and then they would pass it on to me the following work shift day.
I need a better understanding of the numbers.
Yeah.
So total on call was how many?
Total, I texted Linda and Cindy the exact amount of hours. The total hours on call prior to these last 2 weeks was 2,021.95 hours.
2,041.
21.
21.95.
I've taken
22.
No, 2021.
Yeah.
2,000.
But
2022. We did.
I was thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
95.95 is close enough for me to be 22.
Okay, and then he was paid 704
Okay.
of those hours. So that,
Even?
And then I also
well, that's
had,
what I've got, was 704 even.
I was paid for 704, plus I took 2 3 days off,
Yeah.
which I know it was less than 3 days, but I rounded up to 72 hours of 3 full days. That total was 1,173.95 hours of uncompensated on-call time since June 7th.
And a dollar something an hour.
Our salary is $1.36 per hour normally. And then I also factored in the last 2 weeks because those numbers are 2 weeks old.
'Cause this was through, that was
Oh,
through
yeah.
the last meeting, correct?
Yep,
Okay.
that was through the last meeting. And then I also been factoring in my 40.71 hours. There's 168 hours within a week. Minus that, it's 127.29. I was paid for 44 of those hours. So then last week was 83.29 hours of unpaid on-call.
How many again?
83.29,
Just for you.
just for me. Grayson is not taking any.
Because Grayson doesn't live close enough to do on-call yet.
He never will.
Yes, he is moving to Beersford. He bought a house in Beersford, so he will be close enough. 15 miles is what we've
Yeah,
said.
I know 15 miles, but
Well, that's what
Yeah,
is,
I know.
what we've
Well,
said.
that's a valid point that he's bringing up here. Let's pretend that we're laying here needing Narcan, and he's 15 miles away. Now, I realize they can drive a little faster than I can than 15 miles legally, especially if they're on the job, but still, 5 minutes would have been maybe all it would have taken.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
It's a case-to-case basis. Our policy, what we set up with the council was 15 miles. That's, at least we're able to go get groceries, we're at least able to go to bomb jars.
True.
I think Hudson is actually within 15 miles, we could go to Waddy's to eat, and that's what that was, and then also Jeff lived 7 miles out. So it's, it was, so we didn't have to be 100% restricted, you're staying in town this 24 hours.
I have a question. Code 3 response from Beersford in your personal car?
No, it's take-home vehicle.
Makes a difference.
is there a speed limit that policy?
Policy is the on-call nature, is being, we do have state statute on which, emergency vehicles have to be lights and sirens. They also, it's pertaining to the call, within state statute and our policy. So, I mean, if there's exigent circumstances where there's active CPR, we're gonna be going a little bit faster than being on call, called in for, generally a traffic complaint or, something else, so, the truck max speed, I could tell you, is 105 miles an hour. Full lights and sirens, that's fast, but the Charger goes significantly faster. It's call-to-call basis, which is laid out within policy, there's gotta be that reason. If you're gonna be driving 105 miles an hour, lights and sirens, you better be able to articulate why you're going that fast.
I think there should be a department policy that nothing goes faster than 95. Those hills between here and Beersford are pretty dangerous. Coming upon somebody over a hill at 105 miles an hour, and they got a wagon, 2 wagons and a tractor at the bottom of the hill.
With a dry
You're gonna
road,
make it.
with a dry road as opposed to it's icy.
Excuse me?
I said dry road as opposed to icy too.
There's-
That's the other thing.
That you have-
There are policies in place that they have to drive within the limits of the road conditions. but-
Yep, and I mean, if you're going over hills, you're not gonna be going 100 miles an hour, like, I've responded to a deputy going, what was she with? She was with a warrant, that was an active murder suspect with a stolen car. I hit a deer that night, I believe I was going about 90 some miles an hour, going, I slowed down to 80 before I hit that deer. Those accidents do happen, we had meetings set up with the public safety committee and Jeff himself, the chief at the time. You have to be able to articulate how fast you respond. And, you know, if there's a school shooting, do we wanna limit our officers to go 95 miles an hour, or do we want them to get there as fast as we possibly can to neutralize the threat?
You mentioned earlier how you were proud of the judgment that Officer Lass has already shown, and I think that many of us have been very proud of your judgment. I think that's kind of what they are supposed to do. And I understand what you're saying. 95 is a good number. Actually, 80 is a good number. I mean, 80 miles an hour on those hills is tough. But again, if it was a school shooting, I'd want them here about 15 minutes before it started. One thing you do have going for you, and I realize this is not maybe a perfect case scenario, but if there was an important enough situation, and I realize, like I said, this isn't great, you're not on call, he is, but if it was important enough, you would just respond.
Yep.
I mean, and not just because you're the chief, but because you're here, because you're able and you're willing.
If he was in town, but he could be
Right,
gone.
I realize that. I mean,
Which
if
he
you
was
were
limited to
able.
this summer, he wasn't able to go.
Right,
I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the whole reason for this
Right.
discussion. A lot of this, well, actually, all of this,
Basically,
everything highlighted is forced 24-hour on-call.
right.
And I'm not saying forced by us, but forced by the conditions. I mean, it's nobody's fault, aside from the fact that we did not have another officer.
And I can tell you, I would hate it. I hated it when you couldn't go anywhere because of COVID. I
Yeah.
hated that, but I wasn't tied to my house
Right.
in Gingerland. You know, I wouldn't, but I'm not a person that likes to stay at home, so.
So you guys are working 44 hours a week,
We're working 40 hours a week.
or 40, not 44.
No, we have, our on-call time is 44 hours, so based off of, you know, we have 168 hours in a 7-day period. A week,
168.
168 hours within 7 days. We each work 40 hours, which is 80, and that leaves 44 per officer. You know, that was based off of an average. That's why we did a salary, because sometimes we have calls where we're both on duty. That's the same with, these past couple weeks, we're both on duty, and, but obviously, one guy takes a little bit more, saying our schedule's a little bit different, but that's, our average is 44.
Well, I assume that the safety committee has had some dialogue that, you've discussed this at length. I mean, do you have any input that you'd like to offer right now? or-
I feel like he needs to be compensated for this.
So I have a question of the 2,000 hours. I mean, you did punch in then for some of these? I mean, more than the 704?
I based off everything off of my printed, paid for time cards. So, that you got 8 hours in a week, you gotta minus your work time, you gotta, which obviously includes my punch in, punch out. You gotta take into factor the 2 weekends that the county did cover for me. Obviously I skipped the week entirely of when I was in Las Vegas. I'm not, you have your on-call, a few of these printed off. If you guys want a copy, I can give you the copy. So there's, you take the minus, obviously, of what you worked. Some weeks it's 40 hours, some weeks I've had 60 hours of work. So it all based off of that every single week. You know, obviously this last week Grayson worked the 8 hours on Saturday, the county covered the 2 extra hours. I'm not here to inflate any numbers, there's no reason for that. My job is based off of truth and that's how I'm gonna give it to everybody, so.
So I get 1,174 hours that we owe him on-call time.
It was 1350.16, isn't it?
And the 1100 was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was before, that was as of the last meeting, sorry.
Okay, so 1174 plus 83.
So I think it's 92.92.
And then
92.
plus this week was 92.92.
You have this sheet?
Where did you get that sheet?
I don't know, where did I get, did only I get this?
Yeah, I just gave that to you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought everybody got it.
No, it's all right. So give me the number again,
83 hours 1 week of on-call and 90, what?
92.92,
93.
okay,
The next week.
right,
You guys are gonna get burned out.
yeah, I agree. And, you know, you think, this is what he's done in
I-
4 months.
But I think we need to limit it. I mean, you guys gotta take some time off.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's a school shooting, county's gonna have to take care of it. If somebody's burglarizing my house, I'll take care of it. But you guys gotta take some time off, or you're gonna burn yourself out, and then we're gonna be trying to find
Just
2
like
more
we did.
young guys
Right,
to,
I agree with
Burn
that.
themselves out.
you know,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, we'll be in the same
There's
situation
gotta be,
we've been
you
in.
know,
Give me the number again, 1350.
0.16.
Well, we've been rounding up the whole time.
Well, that would be, just be
13.
1350.
1350.
I haven't multiplied anything.
I think he needs to be paid for that, but I think we need to have some kind of a policy where
Well, then
we don't get 83 hours a
We
week
still have
of
mutual
on-call
aid.
time.
Right.
We get 40
I think-
hours.
He's still
well,
mutual
but
aid
there-
44.
And there will be after we get rid of, after
After we
Grace.
get another light.
Right, which hopefully will be soon. But I understand where you're saying that. I definitely do. And-
Can I say something? Nobody else gets on-call pay. They get calls all weekend long. You don't want your water treatment plant
No.
flooding. He doesn't get on-call pay.
But this is set up in our policy.
But isn't everybody else shouldn't everybody get on-call pay? If one department does? I get stupid ones at home. There's a dog running at large. I need a dump key. The shed over there, the park shelter,
Do you
the
get to
shelter.
go to Sioux Falls whenever you feel like when you're off?
Not all the time, no. Not if there's something going on. We usually stay home and make sure nothing is needed. I'm just saying, nobody else gets to go to, nobody else gets
I
on-call
mean,
pay.
we're talking
and they are.
$1.36 an hour. That's really not very much.
Let's figure out how much that is. Somebody got-
$1,836.
I'm not trying to say anything against you, but
I know,
if
but
you
we
implement
set
it,
this up
Yeah,
because,
this is in our policy.
because we get
I'm-
called in.
And I
for
wasn't
any
in on the
stuff.
policies.
okay, so then maybe it should be a policy for every department.
And maybe it should be.
Maybe
That's something when we do our
Okay,
reviews
that's a good point.
that we should think about.
But why would other people, I'm just curious, I mean, I get what you're saying, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. But, so how are you gonna charge somebody if that somebody makes a phone call? How do you charge on call for a phone call? I'm just curious. But I agree, but I don't understand.
But I
on
gotta
call.
take time out
Because
of
whenever I have worked,
Mhm.
and I've been on call, and I have workplaces where I've had to be on call,
Mhm.
and I could not leave.
Right.
I did not get paid for it. But that's how it was, and if I didn't get called in, then I didn't work. but I couldn't do anything because I might be called.
So in Dale's situation, if he comes down here, he gets paid, right?
If he has to come in.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But he isn't staying in our town either. He's staying where he lives. He isn't staying here in Alcester and not limited to going anywhere.
Sometimes that is incorrect. If there's a storm approaching or something, he stays in town. He
Okay,
either stays on a cot down at the sewer plant, which he does not get paid for, or he stays with his mom on the couch, which he does not get paid for.
but he's not really, is he on call?
Well,
Are you on call if there's a storm? I don't know. I don't know.
Basically, if you're gonna haul
County guys get,
if you're gonna haul
they get
snow,
called if they call, they get paid if they get called in.
if they get called in, but they're waiting for that call, so they
But
are
they
on
don't, I
call.
don't believe they do. I don't believe they get paid. Well,
I do. I
Okay,
mean, for a
okay.
snowstorm, if there's something, if there's alarm going off, he gets called.
okay, yes.
So
Then
he's
he
waiting
comes.
for that call.
Then he comes and he gets paid. He
Yeah,
gets paid more than $1.36 an hour.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know. I guess this is our policy, and I don't see how we can just back out of it and say, well, somebody else.
I think, I don't either, considering we already said that we were gonna pay them.
Right, I agree with that, but let's just cut to the chase. Okay, you're on call right now. You get called, and you have 2 hours worth of stuff to do. I don't care what it is, could be taking care of a dog. I don't care, but you do it. So that's 2 hours, right, of being on call. Do you clock in for that 2 hours?
If I'm called in, I clock in. If I do not, if I'm just on call, I'm not clocked in at all. So, I believe Dave before, when Jeff was chief, stated that, a dog at large is not an emergency type of thing where we need to get clocked in. I had this situation, I think Sunday, the dog came and I, spoke with the county. I'm like, our council members have specifically said that a dog at large is not something that we need to, take city time to go, give a dog back to an owner. Now, a little bit later on, there was an ambulance call. During the ambulance call, I clocked in, went to a residence, which it just so happened to be the dog owner's residence. So I kind of hit 2 birds with 1 stone within that call. But, if I get called in, I'm clocking in.
I guess that's my question. So, now we're gonna reduce this to the easiest numbers. You get paid $10 an hour. That's what you get paid in my world. You get called in. You're getting $1.36 per hour for 2 hours. So that's, I don't know, we'll just say $2.72. Now, you're also gonna get $20, right?
Based on,
Or does the $1.36 go away and the $20 take over?
and I believe that's why we did a salary point to kind of make it easier for the 2 gals and for every math that's involved, and that's why it's salaried at 44 hours, as an average. Some weeks I might be doing, like obviously lately 80 hours, but when Grayson's on, I might be doing 60 hours of on call 1 week, and then, he's doing a lot less, but then the next week I'm getting some off, so, for that instance, I believe that's why we created a salary-based on-call pay instead of an hourly.
If I may offer a comment, consider the potential for loss of life. These guys, law enforcement, there's a potential for loss of life. Any other thing, it's a potential that somebody doesn't get a dump key. The thing is you gotta watch for is if you've got a school situation or whatever, shooting, it's potential for loss of life.
Of course, we realize that.
That makes it simple.
Well, I do understand what you're saying, Wanda, and I also understand we have a policy. I guess, let's cut to the chase here and decide either A, we're going to make a motion to do something in the way of, excuse me one moment. Let's make a motion, as I was saying, to do the paying, and then obviously, we're going to have to address other issues, whether it's in the form of the individual reviews, or whether it's just revising our policy manual again. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, we have this on the table, so.
I would make a motion to pay Chief Sculler $1,836 for his on-call hours.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to pay Chief Sculler $1,836 for his on-call hours. For his unpaid on-call
Right.
hours since
Sorry.
the beginning of June, or, yeah.
So does that bring it up to this week?
Yes.
Is there any other discussion?
When are we going to, is that gonna happen at the next meeting? We're gonna discuss
Other,
other policy changes on this on-call thing?
and maybe,
To limit it,
maybe policy changes on the police policy as well as
other,
other,
Okay.
or at least start the dialogue. It's
Yes.
gotta get started now so that we can,
I mean, because I
Get
even
things
think
rolling.
that we could, they could have an extra holiday, not holiday, like a personal day.
A comp day or something.
Yeah,
yeah, something.
something.
I mean, we can do something. Is there any other discussion? There is none. I think I'm gonna go with a roll call vote. Linda, how do you vote?
I,
Dave?
I can support that,
Darla?
Aye.
Lucas. Sorry.
Aye.
And Cindy?
Aye.
5 ayes. So, we've got more to discuss, but we got that taken care of.
Thank you.
thanks,
For one on the next public safety meeting.
tomorrow.
That's more, so,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
tomorrow.
Back page, we've got Community Center. There are, what, 3 motion to hire sections here. Do we have 3 people to hire?
I didn't do my homework. Well, I only have 2.
I think we added 3, but we didn't know for sure.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first is Mike Croy, who is now the clubhouse manager. He will be the bar manager and lunchtime cook. Responsibility of ordering all the beverages and scheduling the bartenders slash waitress, waiter. But the people that are assigned to the bartender position. And we've been discussing with him, and I guess we would, I'd like to make a motion that we hire Mike Troy. He's now getting a little more than $12.50 an hour. We bump him up to $13.50 per hour for that position, effective November 1st.
I'll second that. You made a motion,
Okay, if I may, I realize, excuse me, I realize that the community center is a different entity or different location, but a job description for Mike in this position, will it be virtually identical to the job position he's already, or excuse me, job description he's already had for the last?
No, he'll have other things to do. I'm hoping that he'll have more lunch.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And then he's gonna be going further into the afternoon to help with the evening food prep. And then, I mean, we're talking now until the end of February or sometime in March, when the golf club opens again. We're gonna have to reschedule that.
Sure.
But right now, we're talking basically a 10 to 6 day.
Winter time rules or winter hours.
So we're gonna have to have new job descriptions for a lot of these, aren't we? We probably don't even have any for some of these, do we?
Well,
Do
we'll
you think we do?
modify the ones we have.
That's why I was
to add
asking
the
whether you could
new
take that seed,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, but,
Okay.
yeah, some of this is,
Right now, Mike orders all the food and all the everything.
Okay, and he'll just be doing more.
He isn't gonna
He's
be,
gonna be cooking, he's gonna be
but
the
he's not-
manager and lunch cook.
and lunch cook, and working in the afternoon to prep for the evening.
Okay,
But he won't be ordering any of the food supplies.
okay.
That's gonna be a part of
How do you spell his name?
that. Mike, or Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-C-R-O-Y.
C-R-O.
C-R-O-Y.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to hire Mike Croy as, I'm gonna say, general manager of the clubhouse slash lunch
he's bar manager.
bar,
Bar manager.
but it's also food, isn't it?
Well, but we have,
Same thing? What is his,
Lynn's.
what is his description right now? What's it called?
He's a clubhouse.
Clubhouse manager.
So that would be the same thing then. It's just gonna be a modified clubhouse manager description. I'm gonna say clubhouse manager. Is that okay?
Good.
All right, that motion has been made and seconded at a rate of $13.50 per hour, beginning effective November 1st, 2021. Is there any discussion? I think I'm gonna go with a roll call vote again. Linda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Darla?
Aye.
Lucas?
Aye.
And Cindy?
Aye.
I almost forgot her name. 5. 5 ayes, thank you. So now we move on to letter B.
Okay, we had, Darla and I, and Pat sat in too, we had a second interview with Laura Wally. She's a lady who lives out on the south edge of town, has many years in the restaurant business. And she has another business out of her home that she has to spend time with, so she isn't interested in giving us a full-time position, but she said she would offer a lot of advice on how to run a restaurant, and would do 2 nights of bartending for us, 2 evenings, and will spend time on Mondays when we are closed out there, doing the receipt and expenditure accounting for us. So since this is 2 separate situations, she's gonna have a job description that will involve 2 different rates of pay. For the bartending and her expertise there, she and the group here negotiated a $15 hourly salary. And for the Monday time when she's working to do the receipts and expenditures accounting, she would get $20 per hour.
Are those effective?
Those would be effective Monday, right? Or when did we, she started? She starts next
actually,
week?
yes,
So that would be October 20,
6?
today's the 18th,
Isn't
20.
today the 29th? Maybe on this 18th.
25th.
10:25 for both things?
Yes, well,
No.
she won't be putting any hours, but let's have her start. There won't be any bartending hours until the bar actually opens.
Okay.
So she's probably gonna be doing 10 hours a week at $15 an hour, and 5 or 6 hours a week at $20 an hour.
And you said she would help train some people too?
She's gonna be doing some training, wait staff. She's gonna help set up our bar when we get that organized.
Good.
Rate open.
Can you spell Wallene?
Walleen, Laura, Laura.
So, the word I didn't hear was motion, and I don't know.
Sorry.
That's all right. We would need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to hire Laura Walling at the rate of pay $15 an hour as bartender and $20 an hour, 1 day a week as accounting.
I'll second that.
Effective immediate, or 25th, October 25th.
I'll second that.
The motion has been made and seconded to hire Laura Wallene for part-time positions, one at $15 per hour, approximately 2 nights bartending and some training of staff, and one at $20 an hour, 1 day a week, Monday, the closed day of the week, doing accounting, effective October 25th. Is there any other discussion?
She's really very knowledgeable.
Yes.
I wish we could have her for a lot of things.
We never know, it could
She's,
grow on her.
she really knows.
That's encouraging too. Is there any other discussion? All right, again, roll call vote. Linda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Darla?
Aye.
Lucas?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
I vote aye. She is hired, and there is no letter C at this time.
We do have a couple more applications that have come in for part-time help, so I'm sure by the next meeting, we'll have some other folks.
Are they kind of like the wait staff and?
Wait staff, yeah, we're probably.
That's good news. Well, since we don't have a C, we'll move on to letter D, and you can see there are some receipt copies that you've received. And this would be a motion to approve reimbursement to Dave Larsen for community center purchases he's made.
Yeah, I was on my way to Sioux Falls Friday, and the guy, Jim Daniels, the general contractor, was real interested in getting TV equipment so he could get it installed in the bar. He didn't want us drilling into the Italian tile. So, we selected a 50-inch LG TV that we thought would meet the needs we have up there. We'll have one on each end of the bar. So I picked up a couple of those at Walmart, and then we needed a keypad entrance block for the cart shed door when we get that finished and start moving people's carts in there. So that's the thing at Menards.
And you can see on the paper, total would be $1,101.11.
I'll make a motion to reimburse Dave Larsen for the community center purchases of $1,101.12.
Actually, it's 11 cents.
11 cents.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to reimburse Dave Larsen for community center purchases totaling $1,101.11. Is there any other discussion at this time? Hearing none. Linda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Abstain.
Darla?
Aye.
Now that word. Lucas?
Aye.
And Cindy?
Aye.
4 yes, 1 abstain. All right, well, motion passes. Motion to approve equipment purchases for community center.
With the hiring of our chef, Clint and Irene at the last meeting, there were a couple pieces of equipment that we needed so that he could make the menu items that he wants. One is a 24-inch char broiler, and one is a 24-inch gas griddle. And then there's a $500 equipment stand with both of those tabletop items on. So the total would be $2,560. And that's at Maxwell Food in Sioux Falls. They will probably be bringing those down at the same time they bring them tables and chairs, hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday.
It's $25.60 even?
Well,
It doesn't matter. Okay, it's $25.60.
that's pretty close.
Okay.
Up to.
Okay. The stand was $500, I think you said.
$499.
Okay.
And I can't remember the cents.
Okay.
I have the quote here for the two pieces of tabletop equipment.
What were the two tabletop equipment?
One's a char broiler,
Uh-huh.
24-inch char broiler, one's a 24-inch griddle,
Okay, oh, great.
flat top griddle.
Okay,
And I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of those 3 pieces of equipment, and the third one being the stainless steel equipment stand that they will both fit on, for $2,560.
I'll second it.
motion's been made and seconded to approve purchase of community center items, a char broiler, gas griddle, and a stand, totaling approximately $2,560. Is there any other discussion? Linda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Darla?
Aye.
Lucas?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
vote yes. All right. Now we move on to the Coke sponsorship. That would be Chesterman's, and it's for the community center. You probably had an opportunity to look at that. It's a pretty intense document. I mean, there's a lot of meat in that document. There's a lot of liquid in that document. But anyway, the point is, there's a lot of verbiage. And one of the things that our legal counsel has said is, there's some of the verbiage that he doesn't necessarily agree with. You want to maybe expound a little bit and just, you don't have to necessarily go into particulars, but.
Sure, so I think I'm appropriately paranoid whenever I review contracts. Some people might say I go a little overboard, but there's just a couple of things in here that I frankly would like to know more about. There are a couple of things that I don't think we should agree to, and I understand from Pat that time is of the essence. So the law permits us to have an open discussion in executive session when consulting with legal counsel and/or on contractual matters, of which this is one. I'd be happy to walk you folks through my concerns with the contract really quickly. I can get that done. If you are satisfied that those concerns are legitimate enough to allow me to speak with the representative who Pat's going to put me in touch with tomorrow, what I would recommend is that you approve authorizing, you have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Chesterman's once it's in a manner and form approved by the city attorney. So what that allows me to do is talk with our friends at Chesterman's, change happy, glad, etc. And then once it's in a place I think we can live with, the mayor can sign. If you want me to explain to you some things that I think need to be changed, I can do that quickly for you in executive session. Those would be the, and then I would ask you for the same motion anyway. And the plan is, after I discuss this with Pat, the plan is to get this wrapped up tomorrow by close of business so we can move forward, because I understand the community center is opening soon and we can get this done.
So the question is, do you want to have an executive session to discuss it? Or do you want to just defer to the legal counsel and his ability to negotiate and then give me the opportunity to just sign the contract once it's approved by our legal counsel?
Okay.
I guess I'd like to hear a 10-minute summary of what's going to happen.
I'm going to try real hard to get it down in the
I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session for SDCL 1-25-2-4 contract negotiations.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made and seconded to enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2-4. Contract negotiations. Is there any other discussion at this time? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. It is 7:34 p.m. We are in executive session. And it still will be 8:02 p.m. And at 8:02 p.m. we are out of executive session. And we move back to item 10F. We need a motion and a second.
I would make a motion to approve the mayor to sign an agreement with the Coke sponsorship at Chesterman's after it's negotiated and in a manner and form approved by our legal counsel.
Second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the Coke sponsorship document
No, you have you.
that,
Okay.
to allow me to approve the Coke sponsorship and sign the agreement or contract in a form and manner approved by the city attorney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Linda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Darla?
Aye.
Lucas?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll move on to item number 11. This is kind of interesting news right here at first.
Well, so last year we had the CARES money. This year we have the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. So it's affectionately known as CLFRF. So the federal government allocated funds to each of the 50 states, and then the states further allocated that based on percentage of population. And so I just provided the first page. There was actually 8 pages of population. So the city of Alcester was granted $135,000 and some change. And it's going to be paid in 2 payments. And there was some paperwork that needed to be completed and mayor's signature obtained, and a week later I had the funds. So we just recently received $67,507. And approximately a year from now, we'll be getting the second payment. So this is a little bit different than CARES money. CARES money, I had to actually commit and spend the funds and then submit my receipts, and then reimbursement was given. This is different in the fact that the funds are given and we have until 2024 to use them in a manner of capital infrastructure, which I do need to have some clarification from you on one particular item. But I was thinking about projects that we did not get to do because of reduced funds last year due to COVID. And one of the things was to replace the sidewalk in front of the bar, that whole big sidewalk. It's in need of repair. It's been on my list for a few years to get that replaced. And I postponed it last year when sales tax dollars started not coming in as at a rate we were used to. So in my brain of that 67,000, I was thinking 20,000 would be a good amount to allocate to that to get the city portion of that sidewalk replaced. I have not talked with the owners of Pete's Produce, but I have talked with Diane Ronnie, and she is very much in favor of getting a new sidewalk in front of her area.
Hers is bad.
Hers is terrible, yes. One thing that I was going to ask you, Sam, is I know it's capital improvements. I didn't know if equipment, meaning the dump truck that we're looking at getting, would that be something this money could be used for?
Maybe, I'd have to take a look. At first blush, when I was looking through this, my answer would be probably not.
That's what I felt too, but when I talked to Monty said, we can't ask him for advice, it has to go through Yvonne, who's on sabbatical, or you, so. But the other amount that I was thinking we could do is, and I know this would be covered, is to rebuild our watershed. Remember Dale was talking about that a couple months ago, how we need to get a new, well, we want to remodel that building and bring everything above ground. and put in a new valve and some new pipe. And I asked Dale to get a firm quote on that, and we don't have that yet, but just in the gentleman talking to him about it this summer, that was about a $60,000 deal, so. That would be my recommendation on how to spend this first tranche.
Tranche. So it does mention, water, sewer,
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
Yeah.
infrastructure projects that align eligible uses, so, I mean, that all should be eligible.
The only thing I didn't know about was the dump truck, because
Right.
that's something we want to do this year. I won't be able to pour a sidewalk and I won't be able to get that watershed remodeled this fall yet. That could be next year's 67,000. That's why I didn't know. But
Do we have to spend it in?
by 2024.
Oh, well, then we have the luxury of spending this year's money in 2022.
I'm not 100% on sidewalks just yet. I want to get that answer, but also,
To me, that would be infrastructure, and it's definitely a capital improvement because it's not going anywhere.
right, but, so on page 5, it says investments in water, sewer, broadband. I think it's got A through D, which are the 4 kind of main categories. I don't know if it, when it says infrastructure on use of funds, they say invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. So I just want to make sure that a sidewalk will work. I'm not saying it won't. I want to make sure. But then if you folks look at page 5, eligible cost timeframe, it says between 3 March 2021 and December 31, 24, as long as the award funds for the obligations incurred by December 31 are expended by 31 December 2026. So to me, that says on December 30th, 2024, we could strike a deal to build the watershed house, and as long as we spend the money to build it by 2026, we're okay. Unless I'm reading that wrong, but
I don't think we need to go out that long. I
No.
mean, we know it needs to be replaced.
Right.
I know that project would qualify, there's no question on
For sure.
that one. And I really felt confident after everything that I read, which these are just a few pages, I just copied these off. I do have a 35-page document that I'm
Oh, man.
assuming you have.
That would be fun.
I don't.
No, let's not go
Okay,
there.
well then I will get you that.
Okay.
But that was my question.
Well, it's obvious we'll be able to use it all because we're doing a major sewer project in the next couple of years, so it's gonna go somewhere.
I didn't want to put this money towards the sewer project because we already have a tremendous package for that.
Right.
And if we.
But if we can't spend it anywhere else, we
Yeah,
certainly will be able to spend it all.
correct.
But
That's
if
my
we
point.
do spend it on that, remember her saying if we came up with other money, we might not get that package.
True.
That's
So
a good
then-
point.
Then we might not get as much as the package said.
The whole
Right.
forgiveness, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so,
But there's no question, anything we do with water or sewer, they're not gonna bat an eye on
Yeah,
that. So
okay.
I feel very good about replacing that watershed.
so evidently our population went down.
Yeah.
This is the estimate. I haven't
Oh,
seen the
it's just-
actual census figures yet.
Okay, I just was curious.
So I know our population has gone all over the place.
Okay,
When you look at different places, it's different numbers.
okay.
I don't know a good answer, but that's what they use to determine this. So
It's good news, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I will get you that document, you can read it. You're gonna be my avenue, or, I guess Lori, but Monty is not gonna offer any direction on this. It's either Yvonne or you. So,
And then letter B, the city hall.
so a lot of you know, we have Marge Eiler's 90th birthday party on Sunday. And, we're going to clean the community center and get it ready for that birthday party on Friday. I have 6 people lined up, Wanda and myself, and then some other people, and we're just gonna start at 8 o'clock in the morning and do a big old thorough clean of the facility. So that's why I have that our office will be closed. I'll put a note on the door, we'll be up there if somebody wants us, but it is our intention to get the building ready for the first event.
And to make that possible, we will have a temporary occupancy certificate, correct?
Yes, Jeff is going to do Jeff needs to be here for the fire testing, both for pressure and alarm. And so Jim is going to let him know. Jim will be here on Friday as well, but the alarm and fire testing is happening on Thursday. So Jeff will do our inspection on Thursday and granted after that.
Now would be a time maybe to address what Gordon had asked earlier, to the best of our ability.
We have construction meetings every week now on Tuesdays, because there's just a lot of last minute things that are happening. I won't have all of the inspections done. Our kitchen won't be 100% set up, so food service won't be in before the 24th. A lot of those last minute inspections will happen after the 24th, so that week of the 25th through October 30th. I personally am shooting for a November 1st date where we can be open, but at this point, I can't say that 100%.
The cart shed probably won't be ready by November 1st because we can't get the right kind of lights and we can't do the code electrical inspection until the lights are installed.
So we
We
don't
may-
have a firm date for you, it's just the best that we have right now.
Okay.
A lot of supply issues in the entire world really going on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And letter C is reminders and updates. Daylight savings time ends November 7th. You get to fall back. That's not a bad thing. And landfill hours, Monday, Thursday, 3 to 5 p.m. Wednesdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Saturday, 8 to noon, 8 a.m. to noon.
Did you put that back on the website? I could not find it when I called you.
The landfill hours?
Yes, I couldn't find it on there.
I thought it was all the way down at the bottom of
Yeah.
the first page.
And I couldn't find it last week, wasn't it? When I called
Yes.
you, I believe.
Only
Anyway, please check. For me. I might have missed it.
All right. I think that's it for reminders and updates right now. And we go on to number 12, executive session if needed. Can't think of any reason. Seeing none, then we only have item 13 left. And I would need a motion in a second.
I'll motion to adjourn council.
I'll second that.
Well, I'm going to give it to Linda. I think maybe
Lucas
Lucas
did
was
too?
trying to do it at the same time, but Linda was louder.
Yeah, I am louder.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn the city council. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5 say yes. And at 8:16 PM, 8:16 PM, we're adjourned.